This episode is presented by DistroKid. DistroKid is the easiest way for musicians to get their music into all the platforms like Amazon, Apple, Tidal, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, and more. You also get unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of their earnings. The DistroKid app is super easy to use, so check it out. Just go to distrokid.com/VIP/talk guitars to get 30% off. Hey people, do you want to get your music into Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Tidal, and all the rest of the streaming services? Check out DistroKid. It's affordable and super easy to use. I've used it to distribute my music and I really dig it. Our listeners get 30% off at distrokid.com/talk guitars. That's 30% off for our listeners at distrokid.com/talk guitars. Go get it. Hey everybody, it's Chris and Rick Talk Guitars, and today we're doing the check-in. Chris and I have been head down in our daily lives doing our day jobs and things, and and also kind of spring is springing around here, so we've been doing springy things, at least at this household, weeding and gardening and things like that. But always playing guitar or thinking about guitar. And so this is one of our famous, I don't know if it's famous, but one of our
It's super famous.
It's super famous. You guys all know what we're talking about. But anyway, I'll start because, I'm kind of bummed because my time down at the shop is kind of waning because
Really?
I think they got a new cat that is kind of working out, which is totally cool. He's new to the area and I think he needs a gig, but hopefully I'll still be able to float down there for some people. As the need arises, but I miss it. I miss the crew. I went down there actually Saturday just to say hi, and it was really cool. Everybody's down there, and they were saying hi, and that they missed me, and I missed them, and it was really nice. And and then I got to just kind of bask in the guitars down there, and what else have I been doing guitar wise?
To let the listeners know that you've been working kind of like at Emerald City Guitars.
Oh yeah,
anyway,
anyway,
and like in a part-time kind of capacity as needed,
Yes.
kind of like average. What were you averaging for?
Just 2 days a week, like Mondays and
Yeah.
Saturdays and Mondays. Yeah, it was cool. Thanks, Chris, for that. Yeah, I should have prefaced it by that.
Jesus,
Chris is the one that thinks about this shit. He's the smart guy. He's the smart guy in the group. Otherwise, I've been playing. So a new development for me is Chris knows a guy that we both know, Dave Swafford. He is a power pop freak. He loves power pop. And he contacted me to say, hey, let's jam on some power pop stuff with this other cat, this drummer that he knows. And so I've been learning a bunch of power pop tunes, a lot of the ones that I've been wanting to do, like Nick Lowe and stuff like that. And then also stuff that he's into, like 2020 and the 3 o'clock. And so again, it's kind of challenged me to learn these new songs and get in the headspace of, just new stuff in my brain and my fingers. And there's a lot of harmonies, vocal harmonies too, which is cool, which I've been kind of digging on. But also the guitar stuff. It's been, because, Plimsoll's stuff, all that power pop stuff that I really dig. So I put together, that you'll kind of dig this, Chris. I'll send a picture, but I put together this kind of mini pedal board for this.
Cool.
Yeah, cool. Instead of using my big fucking YouTube board. But I'll send you a pic. I got some, and nothing special, but just an overdrive that will work with this. That's kind of jangly, and a couple other things to hopefully fill out the sound. My hope is, so right now it's a trio, and I hope we kind of stay that way, a power trio, because I'm kind of inspired by. I think I told you that when I went to see Nick Lowe at the Tractor, a band called Jack Shit opened. And it's the guitarist from Jackson Browne. The bass player plays with Elvis Costello and the Imposters. And the drummer is Pete Thomas from the old Attractions from Elvis.
Wow.
And fuck, they were a trio, and they blew my mind. They just sounded killer harmonies. The guitar player everybody filled the space just tastefully and really well. And they did this medley. I think I told you about that. But all of a sudden, in the medley, they're playing the song. It's instrumental. I'm like, what is this? This is so cool. It's weird. And it was Jeff Beck. It's like that Mumble Fingers, or I don't know what it's called, but you know that one? It's like it's just weird, but it's amazing. But anyway, so I'm inspired to do a power pop trio. So, but if
That's
we need to
cool.
add somebody else, that's totally fine too. But
That's sweet.
that,
I'm glad you're jamming with Dave. Dave's a cool
yeah,
guy.
he is cool.
I think you'll enjoy it. It'll be so much different than, the U2 tribute thing because you get to play
Totally.
some chunky chords and
Exactly.
stuff like that. So that's cool. I mean, you're in the neighborhood. So
Yeah, man. I was gonna stop by, but I don't know if I don't know. It was
yeah,
kind of
you
late,
probably
but
got shot. I don't,
next
unannounced.
next time I go down, I'm gonna text you and see if I
All
can
right. Yeah,
stop by
yeah.
and say hi. Yeah, but other than that, let me try to think about some. Why don't you give me some updates about you, man, and your life and guitar and whatever else,
Oh,
and give
shit.
us the update. You're on the
Well,
spot
yeah, my
right
deal
now.
was I was doing this thing where I was recording a bunch of instrumental stuff, really
Which I
digging
dug.
it, and I was learning the piano, and I was doing that for quite a while. And then we got like a show for the Mailman, which is the John Prine tribute thing. We have this yearly like benefit that we're doing at the Tractor,
Uh-huh.
and last year we did like a complete album, the album in order, played the entire album, and they want us to do the same thing this year, and they picked a record that we don't know. I mean, we don't. So we had to learn all the songs off. But I think there was two on there that we kind of knew. And John Prine. If you listen to the record, you're like, yeah, this is three chords. What the fuck's the problem with this? But there's a lot to it going on. And for me too, it's like I don't really play chords. I like
Yeah.
make parts out of stuff. I like, maybe on one song I'll be playing like piano part and then switch over to like kind of the fiddle part or the
Oh,
pedal
that's
scale
cool.
part. Just kind of make my own thing out of a bunch of cool melodies and pull it all together. And because we have two acoustic guitars, a banjo, an electric bass, and a full drum kit, and then me. So I do all the other stuff on the guitar. So it's really fun and challenging, but it's hard for this stuff. So, it was like we had to learn like about 20 songs between that and then my friend, like one of my oldest friends in Seattle, he's wanted us to play on some of his songs. He's got some songs, so we learned about 10 of his songs. So we're going to do a show together where we do his band and then the John Prine band, which is really cool because I love that when you have a chance to stay up on stage for a long time, like
Totally.
just kind of camp out. So that's cool. And we also had a Riff Broker show, like I think the week before, not even maybe even last week, I don't know. But yeah, so I've been super busy with playing guitar, and which kind of sucks because I was really like kind of feeling like I was getting somewhere on the piano and I was digging recording. But it's cool to be just immersed in guitar, but it's funny because I don't have guitar in my head when I'm doing this. It's
Yeah.
like all my time, like in the evenings or on the weekends, I'm just like learning these things and finding parts and all that stuff. And then when I'm done,
uh,
so yeah, I mean, my guitar, that's been the extent of all my guitar playing. I've been listening to a lot of music. It was like cataloging my record collection because I guess I didn't have enough to do with learning all those songs. So yeah, and
of
just like
course not.
going through all of them and finding stuff like, hey, I forgot I had this, and so playing a bunch of
Yeah.
that, cleaning shit and putting them into the Discogs database, which is kind of cool. And then
That is cool.
finding the version. It's really really nerdy and really really fussy. You have to read those little numbers on the run out groove. That's really, you got to get it just in the light, just right. And then there's 5,000 records, and you
That
have to find
sounds
the
like
one
something
that.
that you'd really get into.
Yeah, no, I did. So it was time consuming, and I found out I have like 404 records, and
Damn.
yeah, I figured it was about that many, and I've just been going through things where like throughout the day or on the weekends, I'll study like a guitarist or a band or something like that.
Oh,
I
cool.
think a couple weeks ago I was doing like New York 70s New York, stuff, guitar stuff. Like I did Television and Tom Verlaine, Richard Lloyd, that dude right there. What is his? Jim Carroll, Patti Smith, whatever I had. David
Super cool.
Johansen. And just like played that for the whole week. Just went through those records and kind of just immersed myself in that stuff. And it was really cool because some of that stuff, if you listen to some records that were really influential to you as when you're younger, and even if you don't listen to them for years, you go
Yeah.
back listening and it's like, oh my God, I got that from that song right there. I stole that. You know what I mean? There
It's
was some
cool.
stuff. There was a Television, like a bass lick that I haven't heard that Television Marquee Moon for years. And in one of my home recordings, I was doing this instrumental and I did almost verbatim this like bass line that was on that song. That shit just gets into your DNA.
That's cool.
So yeah, so it's mostly been listening to shit, what else did and now I'm all over the map. I'm really into like 60s and 70s soul.
Oh, I love
Anything that
it.
I have some cool soul. But there's some really cool white soul. Like I've been listening to this Hourglass, which was like this poppy white soul with Dwayne and Greg Allman, like like 69 or something like that. And it's really kind of cool. I went through a Bowie. I was going through all the Bowie shit. So yeah, listening to a lot of music and working on songs with guitar. That was the other thing I was way into before, I started learning all these songs. I was really pushing to get, some more of my slowly but sure theory knowledge
Oh
going.
yeah.
I was working on the modes and shit like that. And I got to use some of that stuff, which was great on some of Clay's songs. He had some stuff that I was able to use that, but feels like I just kind of like put that to the side and focused on this now, which is cool. So yeah, that's about it. I'm just every once in a while I go out to the mailbox and I go to practice on Sunday, and that's just about it for me.
Well, I was digging the instrumental stuff you've been doing. I hope you that picks up again sometime. It's just so cool to hear all the different stuff you're doing
It,
instrumentally. It's really cool.
it was fun, and it was really cool because a friend of mine who passed away I think it was I think it was it last year? I don't even I have no concept of time anymore. But he was a really cool drummer and a cool guy, and he actually I played in a band with him with the guy
Oh,
you're
with
playing with
Dave. Yeah,
now,
yeah,
Dave. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
And he was a really cool drummer. And we did some pre-production because we made a recording with that band and we did some pre-production stuff. So I had all these pre-production tracks of the drums and everything actually. But I said, I don't know how these drums sound. And I went back. So I took a bunch of his drums and put them into multi-tracks into like little files. And then I went through and I would just take parts of them and make loops out of his drums and I'd build a song around it. And I'm
That's
like,
cool.
there was 10 songs that we had on that demo, I think. No, there were 6 songs that we had on that demo. And I was like, I'm just going to try this. I'll take each one of these songs. And if I can come up with something, because he's got a really cool groovy style. And like, if I can come up with something off of that, cool. But, sometimes I'm not inspired. I can't find something. It was
Yeah,
really easy I got something off of all 6 of those songs. And it was really cool. And it was, in a way, it was just kind of like jamming with him again.
that's so
It
cool.
really got to listen to. I mean, I always liked his groove. He's got a really, really cool groove.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was really easy to come up with little bits. These aren't full on songs. They're little like minute and a half little things, with a few parts and shit.
Yeah.
So instrumental, but they were
That's
fun.
cool though. It's cool to resurrect that stuff and kind of keep him alive. And yeah, it's funny. A friend of mine passed away not just recently too, that I was in the Puget Sound with, John Dreyer. Yeah. Pour one out for Johnny. And we went to his memorial service. When was it? Last week? And it was super cool because he had this scrapbook full of pictures of our band days, right? And so I'm looking at these pictures of myself when I'm like 24, 23, 20. I don't even remember a large percentage of these pictures, like having them
Wow.
taken or any, but it's so cool because also, you see some of the gear, like that Carvin semi hollow body that you saw in that one
Yeah,
picture
yeah.
that I was playing in that crappy Strat I was playing at the time. So it's kind of cool to see the gear of the time and us as so young and playing. It was cool to see so many pictures of us playing live. We played a lot back then. It was kind of fun. And so, it was a bittersweet time, obviously, but it was neat to see, and his family had all his musical adventures up, all the CDs he'd done and tapes and the album and stuff. And
That's
so
cool.
it was kind of cool. It was kind of neat to see that. And his daughter, it was so cool. His daughter, so John used to wear this jacket it was a jacket that he kind of altered. I don't know if you remember a show from the 60s called The Prisoner.
Was that the one with the ball, the giant bouncing ball or whatever?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
And anyway, John loved that show. So he had, and I guess the character in there wore a jacket like this with a black jacket with this white pinstriping and this little button that John had that pertained to that show. But anyway, Andrea, his daughter, found that jacket and it fits her and she was wearing it. It's all beat up like the sleeve.
Wow.
But it was so cool to see her in that jacket because I remember John wearing that jacket like every time we played live, really, mostly. So it was really kind of cool to see that and yeah, see his family and again just revisit the early days of that band and see all the fun we had back then, recording music and playing live and like I said, the gear. His gear was always crappy. He except for his electroharmonic stuff, he was like on the
Oh
cutting
yeah,
edge. He had all the like old 70s original, the Electric Mistress, all that other crap. He
that
had
shit is the
he
best.
still has all that stuff. And his record collection too, which was you would have dug his record collection because
Right.
he was really into Beatles, punk, Sabbath, all kinds of. He had eclectic taste in music, so his record collection was pretty extensive. So it'll be interesting to see where that all goes. But also, I've been reading a lot. I read Geddy Lee's memoir, My Effin' Life, which you got to read. It's really
All
awesome.
right, I'll read that.
And since we're to pertain to guitar anyway, it's interesting to read that book and read the account of Rush from its beginnings on through until they ended, and how kind of unbeknownst to Getty, like the way the music was evolving, right, with more keyboards and more stuff like that. Alex, the guitar player, was rightfully feeling like, hey, where's the guitar in these songs, or where's the guitar fit into this evolution of the band, right? And so it was kind of neat to read about that, how he and Alex and Getty were talking about that way after the fact, right? Like, but anyway, it was kind of neat. So I read that book, and then I'm finishing Anthem, the one you loaned
Oh
me,
yeah, yeah.
which is another great one. I'm almost done with that one. I'll get it back to you, but
Nice.
that's also a cool account of the band too, and also how they opened for Kiss, and Kiss was really cool to them, and then also just I love reading about Alex and his how his position in the band and how he kind of felt threatened, rightfully so, because Geddy kept getting keyboards and Moog pedals and all this other crap, and the songs were evolving into these different not necessarily guitar oriented songs. So it's
Right,
kind of
right.
neat to read about that evolution and stuff.
Yeah, well, it sounds like they were always on like really into trying anything new, and it sounds like he just got carried away.
Oh,
Like,
totally.
oh,
Yeah.
this. I mean,
Yeah.
what didn't he just wait till after he basically retired before he started like collecting bases or something?
Exactly.
Something,
Yeah, totally, dude. Yeah.
like,
They were
hey,
just
these
tools.
things are kind of cool because they were all just tools to them, which is
Yep.
totally cool. I think Alex Lifeson's he really like had he got attached to some of his guitars. That white ES
Yeah.
355 he had, he
Yeah.
really liked that, and
Yep.
some other shit. But it's so funny you mentioned that stuff with your old bands because I did the same thing. I was memory lane wise. I woke up one morning and somebody from France, I mean, sent me this short email in French. I don't read
Uh-huh.
French or speak it, so I had to put it in Google Translator.
Uh-huh.
And it was somebody that wanted to know about some of my. He found some of my one of my bands. He wanted to know what else I had for music. He bought one of the. I think he bought the Low and High CD that
Oh, that's so
that's like the
cool.
EP. And
That's
so
great stuff.
I told him where all the other stuff was, and that got me thinking. It's like I don't have some of this stuff online, so I put like the old all the Evangeline stuff from the late '90s, 2000s. I put all that stuff up in, the two records and also like some demos and weird stuff.
I
And I
love
put
it.
that up there and it's so funny because somebody bought it's on Bandcamp is like the
Uh-huh.
place where it's like I haven't put it on Spotify yet, but
Uh-huh.
I have it on Bandcamp. And the other day I get this message like, "Ka-ching, you've got money. Someone bought something." I'm like, what was it? They bought a song for like 80 cents. And I'm like, it's like that's a really weird song for somebody to buy.
But how
Like I want
cool?
that.
How
No, it is
cool?
cool. Just
You know
to
what I
think
mean?
like so that's why I figured. I mean, I might as well get this out there. I don't care if anybody.
Did you put up the lowland high stuff too?
Yes,
I love
that's
that
on
stuff.
yeah, that's on Bandcamp, but it's all that got on Spotify, but
Oh, cool.
CD Baby put that on Spotify, and I had to jump through a bunch of hoops to to claim it because it was up there,
Oh.
but it had no credits.
Oh, right.
And I couldn't get it into the CD Baby account. And if you don't have either, I mean, you can do a lost password or you can
Uh-huh.
do, lost my username. But if you don't know one of those, or you
Right.
can't, and I don't have,
Right.
or if it's the email, I don't know which email it was going to, or
Huh.
it didn't have access to that. So I'll never be able to get in there. But I was able to show them, some stuff that proved that that was my band, and then I
Oh,
wrote
that's
those
great.
songs. So they gave it to me. So at least I was able to get credits up. I don't care. I mean, nobody's going to listen to this stuff probably, but if somebody
Somebody will.
wanders about it, it's
That's
cool.
what's kind of cool about it. I mean, I know it's such a cynical time, and especially in terms of music and how artists can't monetize their music. But I just think it's so cool to think about a song you wrote out there somewhere, and it's resonating with some person. And
Right.
like this person obviously loved what they heard enough to contact you and say, what else you got? That's pretty cool, man.
Right.
And I know that, that's not going to pay the bills and it's not going to, but it's kind of creative validation, like, hey,
Well,
I'm doing something that some people out there dig, and that's
right.
cool. I
Well,
like that.
that was what made me get that stuff on there because I didn't have that stuff.
So
I
cool.
mean, I had SoundCloud, I had the Evangeline stuff, so you could listen to it on SoundCloud. You
Yeah.
can't, I don't have it so you can download it, and it's not super good quality. So
Yeah.
after him reaching out, I'm like, I'm putting this stuff up there, and I did that. And in Bandcamp, you can do, high quality. Bandcamp's pretty good for like if you're really working it, you get a lot more money than you would on Spotify. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't have a jillion people looking at it or something, but it's somewhere if like, I mean, if you were a working person just really working at it, you could probably utilize that too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, I mean, it was cool. I mean, I love that. I remember that used to happen all the time when Evangeline was active. Um, a lot of people from Europe and stuff would contact me, like I come
Yeah.
home
And that
from
was
work,
that.
like a shitty day of work or something. They're like, "Well, that's cool. They listen to my fucking bullshit."
And that was
That's
another
great.
cool band. Yeah. But the Lowland High stuff for me is just like, I love that stuff.
I
It's
wish
so
we would have
cool.
made
So,
a record proper, but yeah, woulda,
yeah.
coulda, shoulda.
Well, there's still time, pal.
Yeah, I don't know,
I
man.
know you did.
My sciatica, you
My
know.
sciatica.
But it's funny because we've been on like this. I mean, I haven't seen you since, in months. And
Yeah.
I mean, I reread the what's his name? The Richard Lloyd book, his like
Oh,
Everything
cool.
is Combustible. And I read the television book and some other shit while I was in the that mode, the New York City mode. So yeah, I was
That's
reading
cool.
about shit. So I guess, guitar is still on the brain. It's
There you
just not
go.
like we were talking about maybe doing a topic and I just couldn't think of anything,
Yeah.
and that's what made me think of this. Remember when we used to do those check-ins where we just ramble for and then we just see if we can chop it up
There
and
you
make
go,
something that's
baby.
not stupid. But yeah.
Yeah, and we're keeping it guitar oriented too. Also, I wanted to mention this. My new venture with this power pop thing has I dusted off the Telly custom reissue I have, which sounded pretty cool. I took that out to Dave's to play, and it sounded really cool.
It's a
But
cool
I don't know if
guitar.
it sounds full enough. So I've dusted off the Les Paul Classic, and now I'm going to try to play that at the
That
next.
would be when you were saying that, I'm like, that's a cool guitar. That Telecaster would be great if you had another guitar and
Yeah,
somebody had a
exactly.
Gibson and
Yep.
somebody had that. It
Yep.
would be super sweet because that Tele would poke right out. But yeah, that was the first thing I thought of too, because that classic sounds so good, and that would have that kind of meat. And plus, if you're like you're doing a solo or something, you don't feel like you gotta have. I mean, you just got sustain, so you don't feel like you got. I better fill this in. Oh, I'm kind of naked, exposed. So
Exactly.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think.
So I think it'll be a fuller sound and it'll be pretty cool. And then maybe it'll, give these guys a little more. I mean, they're pretty cool. They're pretty amenable to kind of a power pop trio. So we'll
Right.
see if that happens. But that would be my preference, man. Because like I said, and plus I've just seen trios before that just blew my mind. Like talented, creative people that are just in a situation like that can fill the space tastefully and have fun and just and it's cool. It's cool when you pull it off and people appreciate it. Or I think anyway, a lot of people do. At least musicians do anyway. But
Well, Dave's a really good bass player, so that will
yeah,
make it.
he is. Yeah,
So that's kind of the key in a trio. I mean, I played for a lot of years. I was like the only guitar in a band, and I hated it because, I mean, I'm not bagging on the bass player. I don't even remember how good the bass player, but for me, I was just like, didn't know my shit. It's like I was
yeah,
really afraid to leave any space anywhere. I mean, I had a crappy Stratocaster, so yeah, it wasn't that fun. I mean, I got all the glory, there I am, but it's just like yeah, it wasn't. I could do it now. I think, or at least be fun to try. You know what I mean?
I
Because I
think
think
you
I've
could
learned
now.
some stuff.
Yeah,
And plus,
for
now
sure.
that I'm like have some Gibsons, I think I could probably make it work better. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
not going to happen anytime soon. My power trio.
yeah. Because I think when I was younger and playing in two guitar bands, we weren't thoughtful about it at all. We were just banging it out, man. But I wish. I mean, I could think occasionally I did kind of try to say, well, he's doing a low E. I might as well do a high E. A high E chord. Then try to mix it up or something. But not, and like you say, as time passes, you learn more. But like you and I talk about it, we really appreciate two guitar bands where they're really complementing each other, like
Oh
one
yeah.
one person's doing, it's not just both people banging away on the guitar.
Listen to Marquee Moon by
There
Television.
you go. Oh
Two
my
like
God, I
really
love.
good guitars weaving in and out of each other. Yeah, those guys really cool guitar parts, like really sparse, really thoughtful guitar parts that are, but still have that really immediate kind of like punk rock energy to them. That was a really, really cool band.
It was. I mean, I think you got me into the television, and yeah, they're amazing. Like it's such great music, and that Tom Verlaine solo album too that you turned me on to is freaking amazing.
What else is guitar music wise that I've been listening to some Sabbath too.
Oh,
Um,
dude,
I,
that's
I
so cool.
I go round and round for I haven't gotten to back to the Rush yet, but no, listen to some soul. I've realized I have a really good Merle Haggard record, but I don't have enough country. One day when I start collecting records again, I got to get my country up because
Yeah,
it's kind of like shameful. But when I started collecting vinyl again, I was going back to my roots and getting into rock,
that's
which
cool.
is great because all of the shit that I got when I started collecting these again, you know, I paid like $3, $5, maybe, 14 was like a lot of money back then for a record. I got a Television Adventure that I think I paid $14
Uh-huh.
for. You know what I mean? So it's now, it's like no way you can find those for that. Like there's not one of those records on Discogs that's like under $50 or something.
It's so crazy. I love it though. I kind of love it that vinyl is a thing and it's persisting. Yeah.
And I know people, like a lot of people think it's just kind of like a snooty or a hipster thing. It's not, I mean, it's for people like me. I'm sure there's other people like this. I never bonded with CDs. I never did.
I
I
didn't either.
tried. I only ended up with like maybe 30 CDs or something, which is really pathetic, you know? So I never really did. And I kind of like didn't listen to that much music, you know what I mean? Because of it. And I
Yeah.
never took to streaming. And it's just like, not because I think no one should listen to streaming. It's not real. It's just that it's not, there's like a way that you interact with music
Yeah.
that, I mean, I like really, really enjoy listening to music now. You know what I mean? And since I started listening to vinyl again years ago, but then I stopped for a while when my record setup was out in the studio. I'd had to go out there and listen, so I never really did. Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's annoying. It's like expensive. It takes up so much room. You got to make sure and clean them and all this other shit. But it's just, for me, it's completely worth it. And I don't think I would listen to music much if I
Yeah, and
didn't
see
have it.
that's
So
totally valid, man. It's just the way you love to interact with music and that's cool. I bonded with cassettes, man, and
those were pretty cool.
vinyls
I
too.
kind of did with those too.
Yeah, and I think part of it was because cassettes at the time I was in a band were really popular in terms and cheap to DIY, right?
Yeah.
You could make dupes of those. They had little dupe places at studios and stuff where you could make a ton of them for pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And we made our own artwork and shit, and so it was easy to do cassette. But I had a lot of cassettes of artists and shit, popular music and stuff, and records. So I think those are the two ways. I'm like you. I didn't bond with CDs at all. And I
Yeah.
had a handful of CDs too. I didn't have a huge collection of CDs. And I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why. Maybe part of it was the sound. And when you and I were getting into CDs too, I think digital music was still in its infancy. And you know what I mean? And the quality was, I think, that it was vastly noticeable, the difference
Yeah, the
in,
80s
in the
especially.
quality of music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got it dialed by the 90s, but it's just, yeah, more than anything, it was just like I mean, you talk about records, you get scratch and it gets skipped and you're like, fuck. But if you ever scratch a CD, you scratch a DVD, it's fucking shot.
Oh, totally, dude.
You'll never
Yeah.
get it to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I didn't have that many, but I had, even not having that many, I had a few of them that went shit like on that, for me. So, yeah, I mean, it's just that bad. But the cassette thing was cool because again, it's another thing where you're kind of interacting with your music. You know what I mean? You'd
Yeah.
make like either mixtapes or you borrow your friend's record, even though you're breaking the law, and you like tape his brand new record and just like peeling the stickers off and all that shit on those Maxell and TDK
Yeah.
tapes.
Yeah.
You were part of the music. And
Yeah.
everything like, that was like album oriented stuff too. So it was like a little work of art. It was like, here's their art
Mhm.
project. Here it is. Wow. It was cool. So, and that for me it's still all there.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool. And
Yeah, I
now that
agree.
the internet is great because now what you can do is you have the album cover, you can read the lyrics, you can look at the artwork, but you can also Google shit like the making of this. I want to hear what, I'm gonna listen to
Yeah.
this record and listen to what they, how they made it and all this other shit.
Yep.
So it's really cool.
Well, and we talked about this before too, but I miss liner notes, man. Liner notes to me were really cool just to see where it was recorded, when it was recorded, who else played on the record, or who else played on specific songs. Like, some of these studio albums, they had different people on different songs, and it was cool. And, or, I remember like the Pat Travers record, look, seeing Nico McBrain on drums back and then he ended up playing drums for like Iron Maiden or something or Judas Priest or some weird shit like, but yeah, I miss that shit, it
The
just
producers, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and it just more about the music, and we've been getting into vinyl too. Not as extensively as
Vinyls.
your collection.
That's
Vinyls.
just that every time I hear that, I know that's like the old guy, like just shut up because it's
The
gonna end up
vinyls.
being that.
I
But it's like
know.
you just want it's fucking plural. It's like me saying I'm gonna go to the country and hang out with the cattles.
The
It's the same fucking
deers.
thing. It's plural.
I
Vinyl
know,
is
yeah.
plural.
Yeah.
But no,
The vinyls. We're gonna listen to the vinyls tonight, honey.
no.
The vinyls. So
I know where they get it though. Right? It's like
oh yeah. Oh
cassettes,
yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
cassettes, CDs, vinyls. That shit. I don't know. I don't know what we're supposed to be talking about guitars. What the fuck
This
were
is
we talking about?
music related. There's guitars in the music we're talking
All
about.
right.
But let's bring it back to kind of more guitars. But tangentially, I'll talk about pedals. Like a lot of my pedals were out at gym, so I went out and got them last week, just because I thought, "Oh, I've got all these pedals laying around." And then I got your fuzz too, which
Cool.
sounds killer, by the
Does it
way.
really?
Yeah,
All
it
right.
sounds killer. And I just started messing around with them just for fun, and it's kind of cool. I've got some electro harmonics thing I bought. It's not an old one, it's a newer one, but it does it does everything. Like it does echo, reverb, and it's actually a pretty powerful little pedal. That's on my mini pedal board for this power pop thing.
Oh,
I
cool.
want to try to leverage that somehow and get bigger sound and stuff. But it was fun. It was fun, and that phase, the electro harmonics, the small stone was cool
Oh, yeah, that's
that
cool.
I busted out. And yeah, so again, it was kind of fun. For me, like again, for our listeners, I live here in Shoreline, and a lot of my gear is in Maple Valley, which is almost 2 hours away from me at my
A
friend's house.
thousand miles.
1,000 miles, and I miss it sometimes. So I go either go out to visit it, or I bring some of it back and then play with it, because we don't have a big house here, so I can't store all my shit here. But it is fun to go get it every now and then, or to go there and play it. But yeah, the pedal thing was fun, man. And yeah, there's a bunch I have. I've got compressor pedal. I still don't know really how to use a compressor, but maybe I'll teach myself how to use a compressor one of these
Yeah,
days.
it's for the right stuff. Like it's good with I like you have the blue one, right? The
I've got the blue one. I've got a Dynacomp, and I've got a Keeley
okay.
jig. Yeah,
So the blue one is the Boss,
that's the boss.
the
Yeah.
80s. What's it? What is that called? I have one right over here.
God, I can't
What is
remember.
it? Just a second. Give me a.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just for the listeners so they know what we're fucking talking about. Yeah, it's the compressor sustainer CS2.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
a really good. I love this with it for a Telecaster. I use this. This is on my board in the Evangeline days when we did like country rock stuff, and I was on. I was like one of those always on things with
That's
a
cool.
Telecaster. That was really cool. And I have a Dynacomp too, a vintage Dynacomp. And that one, for some reason, it's darker sounding, but I do like that one with Gibson's a little bit more.
Oh really?
And I think depending on the Keeley one you have, it's probably made made after like a Ross or maybe an Orange Squeezer or something. I have an Orange Squeezer here that I made.
Do you use a compressor on your board anymore?
I do not. I actually have one on my board because I was going to use it for something, and it just doesn't. I'm just not there. I probably would. I mean, if I had the right situation, but in like this kind of rock, I don't really use it. I haven't used it for a long time, but they're
Yeah.
cool. And I mean, yeah, I mean, they are a little weird to get used to once you figure out like what is this doing, but once you get it and you hear what it's doing and you can just dial it a little bit, it makes sense and it's pretty useful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do have one on my big board. And that's the Dynacomp. Speaking of pedals, I still just the other day, maybe it was a few weeks ago now, actually, but every time I drag out that PS1, that Maestro PS1 phaser,
Oh, dude, that's
that
so
is the
cool.
best. sounding phaser ever in the world. There's like absolutely, it does, you do need to put it, a buffer before it. But
Uh,
my tuner pedal, I just put my tuner pedal before it, just, because I wire it off my board or something. And it's like there's no like sound, no extra bass, no sound loss or anything like that. It's just this really beautiful, clear phase shifter.
that's so
I've
cool.
never heard another one like that. You know what I mean? And I've got right here in the house, I think I have six different ones here.
Uh-huh.
And I like all of those. I mean, I have the Phase 45, a vintage Phase 45, and that's a really cool phase shifter. I mean, that one's deal is you can crank it. You can crank the rate all the way up. A Phase 90 will get unusable. It's like, or a small cell. It's like, yeah, I can't use that for anything. But it just sounds more like a, what do you call it? The univibe kind of
Yeah,
thing.
that's
Oh,
cool.
so that's a good one. That's what its deal is. I have the same version of the small stone that you have. It's the version 2 with like the black and orange. That's one of my favorite phasers. That
Yeah,
one
me too.
adds a little bit of bass, so it makes it seem like you lose a little volume, but really, I mean, you might lose a little bit volume too, but it's like the bass that it adds with that. It's kind of like it makes it a little weird. I mean, and I have what like a 2000s reissue small stone, and I have an 80s Ibanez, the orange Ibanez phase shifter, and then I have a cool Univox phaser that has a little picture of the foot on it.
Oh, I
I
love
don't know if it's one of
that.
those. It's a really it needs. I had to replace a chip in it when I got it. It was really noisy,
Uh-huh.
and I should have replaced the other one because it's a little dark sounding. It's the phase effect sounds really good. It's really watery. Nothing else sounds like that. It's really nice and watery, but it's a little murky sounding. I think there's something in it that needs to be replaced. Someday I'll pop back in there and do that. But
And you've got a
no,
killer old Crybaby or Vox. Well,
yeah, that's
anyway.
the other thing. Who was it? Oh, my friend Ryan. When we played a show with the Riff Brokers. I think it was like either last week or the week before. I can't believe time is all running together. And he had a crybaby, and that made me I want to go home and drag out my crybaby. So much fucking fun, but I've never been able to work it into my live thing. It's
Yeah, the only thing
but
I used it for ever was, when I was doing covers and it was like either Hendrix or something or yeah, but
there's good creative
wankery.
things you can do with it. My friend
Yeah.
Ryan did it. You know what I mean? Or just you don't have to
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
Yeah.
you could just use it to like increase your treble and like, but it takes up a good amount of space
Yeah, they're
you
big.
know, and mine is a vintage one, so I'd have to use some sort of weird setup or the battery. Those are a little bit like those can be a little tone sucky, but
Yeah.
I mean, they sound really good. I mean, recording with them. I mean, I recorded some of those demos that I did or those
I love those,
instrumentals.
man. Yeah.
There was WAP on those.
Yeah, that's right. It sounds
So,
killer too. Yeah, I love that stuff. I want you to get back to that. Awesome, man. Well, it's good to catch up with you, bud. And let's
right.
yeah, we're gonna for our listeners, we got a couple ideas in the hopper and possibly an interview with a cool cat that I recently met he's in a power trio actually. So thanks for listening as always. We really appreciate it, man. And if you're out there, send us a message. Let us know you're out there. We dig it. And we're members of the Ruinous Media Network. They're cool cats and kittens, and we're on all the streaming services. So check us out and tell your friends and give us a thumbs up and keep listening, man. Yeah, Chris and I dig this, and we're both just, day job guys, but this is our passion to do this. And so we try to devote as much time as we can to it. We hope you get something out of it and enjoy it. And Chris, what do you got?
Goodbye, everybody. Take care.